Good morning. I'm going to talk to you this morning a bit about creative business partnerships. Fantastic that the theme of today is the power of collaboration, because what I hope to set out this morning are a few thoughts, no silver bullets, but a few nuggets, a bit of food for thought, if that's not a clunky term for the guy from Tesco to use, but a bit of food for thought about what evolving and new partnerships with business can look like. So whether that's about how you think about existing partnerships that you've got, or how you move forward in new partnerships that you might seek to develop or work through. I'm very strongly of the view that the way business is working, the way business is thinking when it comes to the power of partnership is very much changing, and that's a fantastic opportunity for you and for the broader communities that you work in and that you seek to help and to serve. I should say from the outset, what I'm going to share are my views. Not necessarily Tesco's views, not necessarily Impact Art's views, although the work that I do with Tesco is very much about shaping how we engage with communities, how we work with partners, and so a lot of my experience is framed by that. It is framed by the work that I do with Impact Arts, where I have the great honour of chairing the board and setting out the strategic objectives of how we use the power of creativity to really drive social change. I've previously worked in consultancy with a large number of large and small businesses, so I've got a rounded view, but not all of the answers. So I'll start off by sharing a bit of, maybe, if it works. Can anyone dance? There we go. So this is a selfie that I took this morning just before I left the office. You're not actually supposed to laugh. I think before I can credibly make the case that business is changing, we need to think about some of the preconceptions that you might have about how business works, how business thinks, and how business engages, because those preconceptions will ultimately shape how you think you should engage with business partners or engage with new relationships with the private sector. So let's think about some of the old. And for me, I think the first one is, it's not true to say that business is uninterested in what's happening in the communities in which it operates. Business is really interested, and I think increasingly waking up to how it can better work with the communities in which it operates, in which it serves. It's also no longer true to think of community activity within your business. It's no longer true to think of it as an extension of marketing. That's just marketing. It's not community engagement. It's not good corporate citizenship. It's just marketing, and marketing is quite legitimately, but quite something separate. It reminds me of the quote by an American John Wanamaker, an American retailer actually, who said that the trouble he had was that 50% of his marketing spend is entirely wasted. He just doesn't know which 50%. I reckon if somebody comes to you thinking about community engagement through the prism of marketing, then 100% of that's wasted. Marketing and community engagement, just two fundamentally different things. I think we also need to understand a bit about where business is. Business just doesn't have piles of cash waiting to be fired out into all parts of the community, all corners of the UK. Just doesn't. If it ever did, that's long, long gone. Funding, in the same way as I'm sure it's tough for you, it's tough for everyone. So fundamentally, the old transactional models that business may have had in and around community engagement have gone. There has to be a new way of thinking, and I think business is increasingly waking up to how that can happen. So this is a bit of a tweak on Every Little Helps, which you may have come across in the Tesco world. If you haven't, I'm quite comfortable spending the next 45 minutes explaining Every Little Helps. Hey, whoa. But this tweak is actually, for me, about how we, Tesco, make Every Little Helps, turn it from a slogan actually into a business value. So what does Every Little Help actually mean whenever we are empowering our colleagues to go out there and make a difference in the communities that they serve? And for me, that's about developing a new model of corporate citizenship. So Every Little Help makes a big difference. And I think increasingly, the people element of it is what's going to make the difference. So I look in my business and I see our people as by far and away our strongest asset. But actually, when you take a step back, businesses can no longer afford to be faceless corporate entities. At the end of the day, businesses are people serving people. They are people. So therefore, ultimately, if people can have values, then so should businesses. And it's once you start to understand that value set of businesses, and as business increasingly knows and lives those values, that's where the great opportunity for collaboration sets in. Because that's what will empower and drive that change. And if you think about at the moment, maybe engagement that you see with business, so whether that's about trustees who are sitting on a charity board, or people who are out there fundraising, or people who are maybe doing a bit of pro bono work to help you out, all of these have got personal values that sit behind them. And my view is that increasingly we are seeing them coming together from being those individuals' values to being corporate and businesses' values. And I think that's where you can really get a bit of cut through. And it has to be about not just the communities, but about the people. So what? Ultimately, why? Why would a business adopt a new corporate citizen approach? Why bother? And for me, ultimately, it's about building trust. So it's about building trust with your colleagues and with your communities. If as a business, you say, yeah, we're going to do something brilliant, we're going to make a big impact, we're going to really change the world. Actually, if you say you're going to do something, then do it. Do it. Because if you don't, then trust is eroded, your partners won't come back, your customers will start to question, well, were they really serious when they were doing it? Are they therefore really serious about other things? So trust is crucial in all of this. And for business, I think trust is the big win. So when a business says, yeah, we've got these values, yeah, we're going to reach out and have new partners, and yeah, we're going to collaborate and we're going to do really interesting things, do it. Because if you don't, just waste everybody's time and actually probably erodes your any value that you've got in your brand. And businesses, I think, increasingly see the opportunity of genuinely tackling the issue. So what's important to them? What's important to their customers? So from a Tesco perspective, we look at health. What can we do to really help our customers make healthy choices? We see food poverty. What can we genuinely do as Britain's biggest retailer of food, to challenge food poverty, food waste. What can we genuinely do? And again, it comes back to, once we set the ambition, you've got to do it. Because if you don't, then trust just disappears. And then you've got the people element. So people genuinely want to make a difference. They really do. Whether they work in private sector, whether they work in public sector, whether they work in third sector, whatever they do, I passionately believe people want to make a difference in the communities. And therefore, I think bringing all of these together, we can really utilize the business community to tackle issues, to make a difference, and to build trust. And I say that safe in the knowledge that a lot of businesses have spent a huge amount of time and effort absolutely destroying trust in their own brand. So I think there's a real opportunity for businesses to genuinely collaborate and to make that change. But what can businesses bring to the table for a partner? Well, there's resource. And that doesn't necessarily need to be cash. So, I think of a partnership we've got with FareShare, for example. What's Tesco got? It's got food. Of course it's got food. It's Britain's biggest supermarket. We've got food. What does FareShare need to tackle food waste or tackle food poverty? It needs food. So let's get a genuine collaborative partnership there to deliver something that is mutually beneficial and helps drive an objective that we've got as a business, helps that organisation do its work, and I think ladders up to being a really good, strong community partnership. We see it all the time that where you get the right partnership, there's actually a genuine opportunity there to start to influence that. So yes, there has to be a tighter, more collaborative approach. But once you build that mutual understanding and that mutual trust, there is a genuine opportunity to make a change. So for example, I think about work we do with the British Heart Foundation, where they brought to us a piece of research in and around the role that defibrillators can play. And now you'll find in every large Tesco, there's a defibrillator. Because there was a genuine coming together, a shared ambition, and a real trust between the partners that we could collaborate and work together, and we delivered that. And that's the point around scale. And when I say scale, that doesn't need to be, Tesco is massive, yay, it's huge, there's loads of Tescos. Every business has got scale. Absolutely every business has got scale. Because every single business will have contacts that you don't have. They will be speaking to people that you don't know that will be able to help the work that you do. So whether it's a kind of local, a local one-man band, or whether it's Tesco, then every business has got scale, and the challenge is to utilize it. And I make the colleagues point again, simply because colleagues are crucial to what shapes a business's thinking, a business's way of working, a business's values, and therefore, by working with the colleagues, you will help to influence and shape and be part of the DNA of what that looks like. And this is the point around scale, is every single business will be speaking to people that you don't know. Therefore, every business has scale. Therefore, every business is potentially a fantastic partner for you. So from a Tesco perspective, here's a bit about what that looks like. So whether that's on community projects like Bags for Help, whether that's the partnership with British Heart Foundation. Race for Life's a good example where that's driven principally by colleagues. So, we set an ambition in and around health. We want to help colleagues be healthier. Colleagues were telling us that they wanted to fundraise for cancer, they wanted to help make a difference, and therefore we offer colleagues free places for Race for Life, we offer partnership with Race for Life, and that then allows them to be active and train and get involved in all of the activities that go in and around that, as well as the fundraising element. We said that we wanted to make a difference on health, so we've got Farm to Fork project, a kids education piece of work. And then you've got your kind of back to that bit around trust. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. So on health, if you say you want to help customers be healthy, then let's have a kids education program on health. Let's take sweets off checkouts. Let's offer free fruit to kids as mum or dad is doing the shop. Because without that, it's just words, it's meaningless. Community Food Connection, that's a piece of work we do with Fair Share, driving how we utilize technology. So whenever the chief exec decides that no food that can be eaten should go to waste, then suddenly the business starts to really drill down on how do you drive out food waste. So that's about changing some of the promotional cycles to make sure that we don't have massive bog-offs that people then can't use and goes to waste, and then how we harness the power of technology in order to make sure that any food surplus goes to local good causes. So it's about understanding what the issue is, what role a business can play in fixing that, and ultimately bringing the two together. So there's a few bits and pieces that I think it might be worthwhile just thinking about, just ultimately working through in your own mind as you're thinking about approaching business as a new partner, thinking about some of your existing relationships, thinking about how you can most effectively work with them in a new in a new way. And it has to be about, first and foremost, strategic alignment. Is what you want to achieve the same as what your partner wants to achieve? Because if it's not, it doesn't make them a bad partner. It doesn't mean they're doing bad things. It just means they're not right for this particular piece of work. They're not right for this particular project. So strategic alignment is absolutely crucial, because if a business doesn't really know and understand its purpose, then it will be a bad partner for you. And for you, you have to make sure that there's a marrying together of the aims and objectives. Otherwise, it just really won't be that effective or that impactful, and again, won't have that legacy piece. And I say that because the difference in moving away from a transactional relationship with business and to a much more collaborative or intertwined, longer-term relationship is you move away from a jig at a ceilidh to being on Strictly Come Dancing on the BBC and everyone's watching. There's much more scrutiny, you're much closer, you're much more in the limelight. It has to be much more a partnership of equals. So if you're not equals from the outset, it's just not going to work. You're going to be head balls. It's just not going to happen. Businesses actually need to understand what the business case is. That's not about profit. That's not about shareholders. It's not about Gordon Gekko. It's about why would the business do this? Why are you the right partner over everyone else? And it's extremely, extremely competitive. That's not to say that that's not to say that it's absolutely impossible, but you have to get it. You have to get it right, and you have to think about the absolute dynamics of the relationship in order to make it work. Timelines are really important in terms of your strategic partnerships, both in terms of lead-in times. So, how much lead-in time does your business that you're hoping to partner with, how much lead-in time do they need? And then, if you're looking at doing a piece of activity, then what's that business thinking at that particular moment of time? What's that business doing at that moment in time? So, for example, if you approached Tesco about doing a fundraiser this weekend, or doing a charity bag pack this weekend, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen, because the British Legion are in doing poppies. They do every single weekend this time of year. So it's about thinking what's going on for your partner in your business at that time of year, and laddering up to that strategic alignment. And the resource implications are really important too. So if you're dealing with a big partner, then actually it is quite time consuming. There are lots of different internal, I'm going to use the word stakeholders, but that's probably the most effective word at this time. There are a lot of people need squared off. And therefore, making sure that you've got the right level of resource in order to manage the relationship as a partnership of equals is really, really important. And to be honest, in my experience, is probably where a lot of partnerships start to become unstuck. So you can have the shared objectives, you can have the a really robust joint business plan in terms of working together and maximizing what the collaboration looks like, and a really ambitious objective that, if everybody works together, we can absolutely deliver and absolutely heal the world and make it a better place. But if you don't have the resource to match, actually it's just not going to work. But then the opportunity is to make sure that you're getting a reciprocal resource from the partner, because that's what genuine collaboration looks like. It's a partnership of equals to meet a shared objective. And that objective is actually really important to both partners. So what's the impact of what you're doing? How's it going to be measured? How are you going to tell the world about it? And ultimately, where does it lead you next? Because there are very, very few partnerships which will, in and of themselves, be an end. There is always more to be done. We know that. Therefore, which step is it on the journey? What's the impact? How do we tell the story of it? How do we measure it? And how do we project it forward into the next piece of activity? Because that's what genuine partnership and collaboration looks like. And with the right measurement and the right impact, you've absolutely got the right leverage to then go back to the business and say, great, we've done this, let's do that. Let's go bigger, let's go bolder. Let's go from, speaking to 100 people to speaking to 1,000 people. Let's go from a 6-month plan to a year to 18 months to a 5-year plan. Let's do it. You've got to know the impact. I think before we move on to any questions or reflections, I think I just wanted to briefly summarize as business and its approach to working in the community and with partners is fundamentally changing. My personal view is it's fundamentally changing for the better. It's changing in a way that is much more sustainable, much more beneficial for partners, and I think much more impactful in terms of the social change that it can drive. I think everybody who's part of that needs to work a wee bit harder. But I think the ultimate aim and goal of what can be achieved is far more impactful. And whether you believe that that shift has happened out of some newfound altruistic compassion from the business community, or whether you believe that it is a new take on Adam Smith's kind of theory of mutual self-interest, actually, doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. If it achieves the social change that you want to achieve, then for me it's a prize worth chasing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. What we'll do is I'll take some questions from the floor. If I can get you, we have some microphones that are going to rove in between you. So if you can stand up when or tell everybody who you are and which organisation you're from, and then your question. So, first question, please.
I'm Carol. I run a befriending service for people with sight loss in England, so I'm not sure if you cover that or you've got a counterpart in England. But say we wanted to get in and work with Tesco's, and we all got many Tesco shops around the country. Who do we actually go in and start talking to? Because obviously, I don't think you're going to give your number to 100 people today, which would be lovely, but who do we actually go in and ask for?
So from a Tesco perspective, actually, the first person you should go and speak to is your local store manager. So that whole piece around empowering our people to be impactful and engaged in their communities starts with the store manager. Every store manager in Tesco in Big Shop, in a Tesco Extra and most Tesco superstores will have a community champion who is a full-time dedicated member of staff whose job it is just to be out there working in the community. They've got a small pot of money, but a huge level of leverage and a huge level of leverage and internal ability in terms of leveraging out resource. So I would go and see your local store manager in the first instance and tell them I said hi.
Any other questions?
Hi, my name's Dawn Hamilton. I'm from M&D Scotland, and in the past, certainly trying to get support from local businesses. Most businesses are quite happy to give their staff to help for a day or two, but it always happens that they want to decorate things, they want to do gardening, they're not interested in the project itself, and it has to be between Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, within the next 2 weeks. Certainly no use to what the charity is wanting. So, I mean, how can we get involved with organisations when the organisations themselves have such strict criteria that they want?
I mean, it's up to you how you handle the relationship, but I would take the view that if they're not the right partner, then they're not the right partner. So in that sense then, I would identify your needs and then just go out. So if you need an accountant, just go out and ask. Go out and ask a local accountant. Frankly, if you need an accountant, go and ask the local PwC office. What can they say? No. So what? There's plenty of other accountants out there. So I think if somebody is coming to you with an offer that isn't right, then it's probably just a bit of a waste of time. And you shouldn't feel under any compulsion to let them, kind of paint the wall again, for the second time this year. But I think what you should do is, work with your trustees, work with whoever in the organisation to genuinely identify the hierarchy of needs in order to deliver what you want to achieve, and then marry that up with who you know is active in the community, and just go out and ask them. Hold an open day and invite them all to that open day. It just so happens that every single one of them has got something you need. I think you drive the relationship, you drive what you need, and I think you will find that the right people come to you. And I mean, those people will still go on painting, and that's fine. But actually, your organisation will be just a bit sharper, a bit fitter, and well on its path to delivering what it wants to deliver strategically, albeit with a slightly less shiny painted wall.
Okay, second one.
Hi, I'm Jim from Seascape. I just wonder how we get on a level footing with the big companies, because if it is Jim's bagpacking weekend this weekend and I'm going to get pushed out of the way because it's the Royal British Legion, how does a small befriending network get involved with someone like Tesco's? Because we're not, British Heart Foundation, or, we're not a really big corporation. So how do we get you guys to look at us seriously and not just go, well, you're not a national company, so we're not really bothered?
I think it's about building up that record of partnership. So whether that's about doing something in one store that can then be laddered up to doing something across Edinburgh or across Glasgow, to then doing something that could be done across Scotland and then done across the UK. I think it's about building up that record of partnership is how it's going to happen, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not. But in fairness, it didn't happen overnight for British Heart Foundation. So, I think if you want to work with Tesco or you want to work with whomever, I would absolutely sit down, rigorously try to know and understand what that company wants to do, what it wants to achieve, what its social aims and objectives are. And if they fit with what you want to do, then try and work up a bit of a plan around, well, how are we going to engage them? How are we going to marry up what they want to do? And I had an example recently where I was approached about a partnership on a kids. It was a kids piano lesson program. Fundamentally, just a really good thing. Just a great program, but it just didn't fit with what Tesco wants to do. Tesco, it just didn't, and therefore we had to say no. And that doesn't make it a bad program. Far from it. It's going to go on and it's going to do brilliant things, but it's going to do them with the right partner. So I think know and understand your partners, and then build a plan to do that. And from a Tesco perspective, go and see the store manager and say, tell me what Tesco wants to do, and you'll know quite quickly whether or not that's the right thing for you.
Hello, I'm Jane Burnett and I run a befriending service in Helensburgh. Recently, I work from the TSI office, which is the third sector interface, and recently I was delighted to receive a call from our local Tesco garage shop, who had a huge donation for our local food bank, and that was your Tesco priorities in action, and that was wonderful, but we didn't know that Tesco had that priority. So when you talk about us going to Tesco and asking them what their priorities are, it would be really useful for us as a TSI office to have that communication from Tesco and other organisations, obviously, to say, these are the things we're funding, this is our advanced plan, these are the bigger pictures, so that we can get those messages out to our, not just befriending services, but other services that tackle loneliness and social isolation. Thank you, that's all.
I'm Christine, I'm Companions Befriending Coordinator. I know Tesco does an awful lot for charity, but I just wonder the possibility for the future, an idea, would be maybe to support, like when it's National Befriending Week or Mental Health Awareness Week, if they can keep it rolling maybe for the week with maybe posters and things, just to show, because I think maybe a table for one day, maybe you've missed a lot of customers coming in, but it could be the wrong day of the week. But if you had it running for a whole week, a lot of people would get to see it and have more awareness of it. So maybe something for the future, was it?
Well, fundamentally, on all business partnerships, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you've passed the first hurdle. The time, from a very narrow Tesco perspective, the timing is tricky because there's other things going on in store. But that's not to say that there couldn't or shouldn't be some other recognition at another point in the year. I mean, possibly even in and around Christmas, for example, might be a nice opportunity to do something. So it's you'd be kind of pushing at an open door, but the week itself is at an already quite busy time for us.
Okay. I think we show appreciation between us. Thank you very much indeed.